I shook Aroha's hand and felt, in that moment, the particular satisfaction of something that belongs entirely to you, not because no one else helped, but because no one else could take it. My parents came to me 6 weeks after the collapse of the collective, in December, when the full financial picture of Cameron's situation had become clear. Cameron had funded his initial operating costs on a personal credit facility and a loan from my parents' savings that they had not mentioned to me during any of the conversations about the partnership. He owed my parents NZD $28,000. He had no studio, no clients, no operating revenue, and a lease deposit he had lost on a commercial space that never opened. They came to my studio unannounced on a Friday afternoon. I was in the middle of a client review session and asked them to wait in the reception area, which they did, for 40 minutes, which I think was important for reasons I did not explicitly intend. When I sat down with them, my father spoke first. He said that Cameron was in a serious situation and that the family needed to come together. He suggested that if I approached Aroha Ngata and brought Cameron in as a director or senior creative partner, the goodwill the family had collectively invested in the vision could still be recovered. He spoke about legacy and about what my grandparents would have wanted, and about how success means more when it is shared with people you love. I let him finish. Then I said that I wanted to be very precise about a few things. The goodwill in the Toho Ventures relationship had not been collectively invested. It had been built by me, through my work, over 4 years. Before Cameron proposed the collective, and before my parents encouraged me to trust a legal structure they had not reviewed and did not understand. The vision had not belonged to the family. The execution had belonged to me. And the vision without execution is simply an idea, which everyone has and which is worth nothing on its own. And the suggestion that I should introduce Cameron into my current business as a director, my business, legally mine, built on my equity and my investor relationship, was not a family compromise. It was the same transaction I had been offered at the Cuba Street lease signing, dressed in different language. My mother began crying again. She said I had become cold and that this was not who I was raised to be. I told her that being raised by people who loved you did not create a legal obligation to fund their other investments. I told her that I loved her and that I was not going to help Cameron in the way they were asking, and that I thought the most honest thing I could offer them was clarity rather than false hope. My father stood up and said something about gratitude that I chose not to engage with. And then they left. We did not speak for 4 months after that. The silence was painful in the way that silence between people who love each other always is, which is different from the silence between strangers. But it was necessary. I did not reach out to fill the quiet with apology because I had not done anything wrong, and I had learned by then that apologizing for something you did not do is not kindness. It is a loan with compounding interest that you will spend years repaying. Cameron found a job as a project coordinator at a marketing firm in Auckland the following April. He was good at it. Actually, the role suited his genuine strengths, which were communication and enthusiasm and the ability to make clients feel heard, none of which require a design portfolio. He moved to Auckland, and we gradually rebuilt something cautious and imperfect, but honest. It took time and a level of directness on both of our parts that we had never previously attempted. My parents and I repaired things slowly over the second half of that year. My father apologized first, which surprised me, and did it properly without conditions attached, and without immediately pivoting to what I could do to help Cameron going forward. My mother took longer, but she got there. Parata Studio's first full financial year closed with 11 retained clients, 3 award nominations from the Designers Institute of New Zealand, and a project with a national Maori health organization that I am still proudest of from everything I have built. Aroha and I have since discussed expanding the studio's scope into a broader creative services model, a conversation I approach with the same careful documentation and legal precision I now apply to everything, because I understand in a way I did not at 27 that good intentions and solid agreements are not in competition with each other. They are both necessary, and the absence of one does not make the other sufficient. There is a version of this story I could tell, where I am the victim and my family are the villains, and that version would not be entirely untrue, but it would miss something important. The real failure was not Cameron's greed or my parents' blind spot. Those things were real, but they were also predictable if I had been paying attention. The real failure was mine, and it was a failure of documentation. I had built something genuinely valuable and then handed its legal foundation to other people without reading the structure they built, because I confused love with safety and family with accountability. These are not the same things. Your talent is a professional asset. It is not a gift to be distributed among people who believe they are entitled to it by proximity. You do not owe anyone access to your reputation, your client relationships, or your intellectual work simply because they are related to you or because they have an idea they cannot execute themselves. Wanting to build something with the people you love is a generous impulse, and it is worth honoring, but honor it with a lawyer in the room, with documents that reflect reality, and with the understanding that the paperwork is not a sign of distrust. The paperwork is what makes the trust verifiable. The people who sweat to build the thing hold all the actual power, but only if they also hold the legal documentation that proves it is theirs.